It's time to talk sports. It's time for the show. When you hear this song on the radio, it's time to tune in. Better act fast. Let me get that autograph. Potograph, Sports Talk Radio. Starting now.
Let's go. Sometime my voice will get here and follow, but what's going on, everybody, and welcome to episode 145 of Let Me Get That Potograph. As always, my name is Drew, or the DH, and joining me, Mr. Scott Rappaport. What's up, dude?
Just trying to be able to decipher what you're saying. Nothing out of the ordinary. But you know what? The comment reminded me of that old Mitch Hedberg line about, I'm sick of following my dreams. I'm just going to find out where they're going and catch up to them later.
Yep. There you go.
Drew's mind and his voice are, going in two completely different speeds here. So
the voice
we'll try to
next week, maybe
try to make our way through it.
I don't know, man. First base coach apparently all year. So we'll see how his voice holds up after a couple games.
Well, the key is to, like what singers do is, don't force it with your lungs, use your belly, so when you're yelling out stuff and things like that, just kind of, or if you really want to get, some good tips, you'll find yourself somebody that used to be a drill sergeant.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you how to keep your voice and still be able to yell at people.
Yeah. I've got some old tips from the old band days, but it's gone, but we're here and we got an awesome show today, guys. Got a lot of stuff to touch on, but Scott, last week, we were talking about Tops putting products in not only lids, but gas stations such as Wawa. Well, they'd always been around in Walgreens and places like that. And a lot of people would laugh it off, say that stuff's all junk, blah, blah, blah. Well, the Wander Franco 1 of 1 out of Top Series 1 was pulled just recently. And it came out of a hanger box from Walgreens, of all places. Walgreens had the holy grail of Series 1.
That's insane. That's insane. So I think the didn't the Silver Pack 101 get pulled already too?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think the 1 of 1 auto is still the only one that is kind of floating around. And I think there might be some 101. There might be some 101 insert parallels that are out there too. So it's not a completely dead product.
No.
But there's still the camos out there. There's still, the other print runs. So there's still a lot of good money to be had from that. But that is, you are right, the holy grail of Series 1 baseball, or maybe the autograph.
Yeah, the autograph.
The holy grail.
We'll say non-auto, whatever, regular card 101.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we call, so the 101 that got pulled, we'll just call that the holy grail. The 1 of 1 auto, let's refer to as the Ark of the Covenant. Because that's that's kind of like one step above the Holy Grail is hey, let's go find the Ark of the Covenant.
There you go.
Just don't open it because it'll melt your freaking face off.
Exactly.
Yeah, somebody spent too much time watching Indiana Jones as a kid.
But so, you get this card pulled, and a lot of people are complaining, like they always do, that it was in retail to begin with. I think it's awesome. I think it's great when 101s are in retail. I think it's cool. I get why some people may be a little upset, but it's on the back of the box. It tells you that you could possibly pull it.
So here is my thinking on that. People have been complaining for years that, you don't pull anything good out of retail. You don't pull anything good out of retail. And now all of a sudden, the best non-autograph card in the entire freaking set is found in retail.
Yep.
And those same people that were complaining it's never in retail, it's never, there's nothing ever good in retail, are now complaining that, why did you put it in retail? Why did you put it in retail? So I'm convinced that the only people are complaining just to hear themselves talk.
Of course.
You know what?
Absolutely.
Go start a podcast.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
This is one of those things that's like, you can't please everyone 100% of the time. No. And these are the people that are complaining about it are the people that can't be pleased at all.
What. Yes.
No matter, they're always going to find something to complain about.
If it's not in their box, or from their breaker or whatever it is, they're going to complain. Yeah.
Yeah. But even if it's their breaker,
Right. If it wasn't the break they got in.
Yeah. If it's they had the Rays the break before, and this break they got the Pirates, and all of a sudden the Wander Franco 101 gets pulled.
We've got a conspiracy.
You've got a conspiracy theory. I don't want to get too into the weeds with this, because we could talk all day about, people complaining about things and things like that. It's just not worth it.
No,
there's no reason to complain. Be happy that, for the people that were complaining for years that Topps doesn't put anything good in retail. And I've pulled some decent stuff out of retail. 2018 update out of a fat pack. I pulled the Father's Day Blue Acuna.
Dude, every single year I always buy a ton of Series 1, Series 2, and update. Always. Yeah. Every year. And every single year I have pulled either last year it was a Vlad Auto at a 5. Year before that, it was like a Soto out of 5. Year before that was one of the Acuna 20 out of 25.
Yeah.
There's always been great stuff in retail. Of course,
no, I pulled
longer odds.
Yeah, 2019 Bowman. I pulled the what's it called? Pulled a Vlad Jr. I mean, green was retail specific, but it was a green auto out of later that year out of Chrome, Topps Chrome. I pulled the Fernando Tatis green auto out of a blaster. And I open retail, I open hobby, whatever, hey, I'm out at a store one day and it's like, I got this itch, I got to open something. Hey, I'll grab some stuff. I'm not one of those guys that goes around all day store to store looking for all this stuff. But if it's there and I want to rip something, I'll grab it. I'll rip it. There are exceptions to it. Bowman Mega Box, I've been known to, and Topps Chrome Update in past years, I've been known to go around and, buy up copious quantities of that stuff. But And I rip it all. I don't flip it. I've got boxes here, loaded with
your back wall and tell that.
Exactly. I mean, I've got 4 of these 3,200 count boxes, behind me right now are loaded with base from 2019 Chrome Update. Right. So, and I do sell off a lot of the individual cards. I'll, build a master set for myself every year. And a lot of times, but like I said, I'm not one of those guys who go store to store, but I'm glad that we're finally starting to hit some, some decent stuff out of the retail side. And, for those of you complaining that the 101 was not in a hobby box, you know what? Kiss my ass.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what? Stop complaining, because you guys were the same people complaining about not being able to get product. You're complaining about not the good stuff not being in retail. Now you're complaining that the good stuff is in retail.
Yeah.
Quit complaining.
Yeah. Yeah. Just get over it. And I mean, I completely agree with you. I can't stand the complaining, and it's just, it's funny to me because, like you said, it is the exact same people. It's just flipping the whole argument. But, it's pretty cool. And I think that it was pulled from retail, but it kind of flows right along with what we were saying, as I think you're going to start to see a lot more of this, at least on the top side of things, with their expansion of their distribution. We've seen, as we were talking about last week, Wawa and Lids. That's already happening, apparently. I thought the Lids was going to take a bit, but it's already happened. It's there. No, and it's a lot more than I thought.
I was there last week because, in the interest of good journalism, I decided to go to, the Lids that was near me on my list. It's 5 minutes from my house, and I actually had to. Actually, the reason I went there, I got tickets to a sweet Bulls game on Friday night last week. And it's nice to have the hookup for that. So I took my son, and we didn't have anything to wear because I didn't have any Bulls gear. So I went to Chicago Locker Room at Woodfield Mall in Schaumburg, which is literally 5 minutes from my house. And that happened to be one of the stores that was on the list that Lids put out that said, hey, here's all the stores. So what they had was exactly what I thought, they were going to have. They had, the retail product. They had, Series 1 fat packs, blasters, hanger boxes, and all that kind of stuff. They also had hobby and jumbo boxes of Series 1. And this was the surprise. This one was a surprise. They had Inception.
Yeah. And I've seen F1 at some places. I
have not seen. Yeah, I was looking for that when I was there, because I would have bought the F1. Now they were limiting Inception to, actually, I think they were limiting all of the hobby box products to 1 per customer per day. But I didn't price out the Series 1 stuff, but they were at $160 a box for Inception.
Yeah.
Just to compare, as of right now, which, today, and I got to date this, today we're recording April 26th at like noon Central Time. So, because again, I want to compare it. Blowout has Inception right now at $170 a box.
There you go.
So they are $10 cheaper than Blowout, but you can only buy 1.
Right. Right.
So, and I have no idea if they got sealed cases there, if they just got shipped individual boxes. The guy really didn't know that much, kind of about it.
Yeah.
But I asked him, like, if I buy one box of Inception, can I also buy a box of like Series 1? And he's like, well, we're not supposed to, but I mean, we have a ton of the Series 1. So I think he would have let me.
Right.
Because I was trying to figure out, is it like one box of each product each day?
Yeah.
Or is it one box period per day?
That's a major difference when you're
That's
talking
a huge
about,
difference.
Yeah.
But I did not see, aside from the retail fat packs, I did not see any of the hobby boxes opened for individual pack sales.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean that they wouldn't, and I didn't ask them about it because I was kind of in a hurry. I needed to grab a bull shirt and get the hell out of there because it was pouring rain and I needed to get home and go spend an hour and a half on the highway between the thunderstorms and Chicago rush hour traffic on a Friday afternoon to get to the United Center. But they may have opened one. You never know. I just didn't ask, but it's there. It's in the stores. The stores that are on that list should have some stuff. It's worth now, and I guess the question is, for those stores that are within a reasonable distance of the hobby shops, and there's probably, 10 hobby shops within a, half-hour drive of the location I was at, how big of an impact is that going to have on, them selling stuff? And the answer is, I don't know. Given the, location of a lot of these, location of the hobby shops, in different parts of the country, I don't think it's going to have much of an impact.
I don't think so either. But I haven't gotten a chance to see one yet. I don't think I saw the one in Charlotte even, or the one closest to me on the list that would have the products. But the products that I saw from other photos, some of them stocked with F1. A lot of like you said, Inception. It does look like they're going to carry some hobby stuff, and that's pretty cool. And it makes sense to not have the hobby opened if you have retail for the actual packs. It makes total sense, but that rollout's happening fast. They're not taking any time. They're moving
and
quick.
Everything. So Inception, they had dummy boxes that were out. The retail stuff was out loose, and the hobby stuff was in a glass case. A little bit different than just kind of grab and go kind of thing. And I get it. They're trying to limit theft and things like that. So.
Oh yeah. And we all know there's quite a bit of that going on right now, especially.
Yeah, I don't think we can go a week without hearing of a card shop getting broken into.
I know. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, so guys, Juan Franco 101, if you're hunting it, it was pulled. You should have been going to Walgreens the whole time instead of hanging out at Walmart, Target, and everywhere else. Apparently, you needed to go to Walgreens. Not sure of the state that it was pulled in, but I do know that it was sold sight unseen to somebody. They made a purchase right in the back of his pickup truck, he said. So
well, chances are, we can narrow it down a little bit because I'm willing to bet it was not pulled in the Northeast because Walgreens is not Walgreens up there. Walgreens is Reed.
Yeah.
So, Midwest and, further west or further south, would be, kind of somewhere.
I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about it. I'm sure it'll come out graded soon. The first edition I know is about to go up on auction. It got a pretty low grade, but won't matter. It'll still go for a ton of money, but it'll be interesting to see if this one gets graded and slabbed to compare the two when they get sold. But the Wander's been pulled, and it looks like everything's out at Wawa and all the lids in their affiliates now. But one box you won't find at lids that I'm really excited, man. I was wondering when it was going to come back.
That we know of. Well, hold on. Where we say you won't find it there now because it's not out yet.
Yeah,
but who knows? You may find it there if they're carrying hobby stuff. They may have it. You don't know.
They might. But Topps did announce and put out the checklist for Topps finest basketball. So pro basketball coming back, really cool looking product, and it looks like at the beginning it's going to be a Montgomery Club exclusive,
which means we're going to see it at like 5 times the cost when it once those guys who order it through Montgomery Club get it.
No, the public sale, they say, is going to occur the next day, so you won't have to wait long after that. The box price right now is at $750, and that's what it looks like the pre-sale probably is. And it comes out today. So the day we're recording. So by the time
$750 is pre-sale.
That's what it's looking like. So pretty big news though, as it is Topps re-debut into actual official NBA basketball, although it's not, licensed. But the checklist has been a divisive topic today as they announced all of this information the day we're recording, the 26th, and it comes out today. So, I mean, they're really putting everything out right away, but this was a surprise drop. But the checklist is getting a lot of attention. And a lot of negative attention. And I think it's awesome. Yeah.
This checklist is loaded. Yeah. And there's guys in here that, grown up in Chicago as a Bulls fan and stuff like that I love to see. I mean, Rodman's in there, which is great. Yeah. Ron Harper's in there. Corey Blount, Kukoc is in there. Brad Sellers, a guy who I loved as a kid, is in there. BJ Armstrong is in there. You don't see a lot of stuff out of him.
Tim Hardaway.
Hardaway. But Penny's in there too, not just Tim.
Yep.
Anthony Hardaway's in there. Isaiah Thomas, is in there. The guy that everybody loves to hate.
Exactly.
Steve Kerr, I forgot him when I was going through the former Bulls players. But there's some guys like George Mirasan's in there.
Mm-hmm.
Dikembe Mutombo, Vince Carter. That's that's going to be a big one.
The star of entertainment 720, Detlef Schrempf. I mean, everyone's in there, dude.
Robert Horry, Steve Nash, Shaq.
Yes.
Grant Hill, Jason Kidd, Iverson's in there. Joe Dumars. I don't know why the hell they put him in there.
I was about to say, and then for some reason at the very end of the set, they had to skip 2 numbers and keep 2 numbers in between putting this man in there. But then they included a Donald Foyle. Just I don't
why?
know.
Why?
Just stop at 59.
I would stop at 59. There is no reason to put a Donald Foyle in this set. Granted, he lasted in the league a lot longer than I thought he was going to.
Now, do you think there's going to be a card 60 and 61 maybe as a surprise?
These small
releases, they've been known to do some weird stuff sometimes, especially with stuff like this.
Yeah, it's very possible. It's an 18 pack box, 4 cards per pack. There is nothing aside from the 1 autograph per box. There is nothing as far as an insert set. And they haven't released what the color parallels are going to be, but obviously expect them to be there. I honestly don't know. I was looking through, and it looks like there's a couple of the autograph, or maybe not. Like the autographs, there's 60 cards, 55 autographs.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to look through to see if there's anybody that has an autograph card but doesn't have a base card.
Yes, there are a couple. Like people like
Earl Boykins.
Yeah, there you go. There are a couple, but it's a very, very, like you said, condensed set. This is not going to be insanely produced. This is basically a small checklist and autograph parallel, and then that really looks to be about it. I mean, they haven't announced inserts or anything. They might put them in there. I personally would like to see a little bit more, see some inserts, but maybe this is them just testing the waters, putting out some basketball and keeping on collectors' minds that aren't like you and I that know exactly when all this changes over. Keeping the common collector informed that, hey, we got basketball coming.
Yep.
And basketball's on its way.
And people are still sleeping on OTE.
Yes.
And if it's anything, if the quality I've seen come out of it is, it's your typical Topps Chrome quality.
Yes.
And if Finest is going to be along those same lines from a quality standpoint, I think it's going to be a great product. Judd Bushruler, by the way, is another autograph that doesn't have a base card. Latrell Sprewell has an autograph too. I don't see him on the base, but I'm still trying to figure out why a Donald Foyle is in there. I'm still trying to figure out why a Donald Foyle is card number 62 instead of card number 60. We're talking about a guy who has, his career average is 4.1 points per game.
Yeah.
He shoots
he's very much a role player, man.
He's not even a role player. Like role players will at least shoot higher than his career free throw percentage is under 50%.
Jesus.
by one 1,000th of a point. It's 0.499.
Now, for everybody listening, they probably heard us all talk about people's names from the 90s and the early 2000s. There is one player, and it's card number one current player, and that's Cole Anthony. He, of course, signed a deal with Topps. So Topps has a deal with him in place already. So it is, the stars of the 90s and the 2000s and Cole Anthony.
But here's what I don't see. I don't see Cole Anthony on the autograph checklist. He's not there.
Nope, he's not there.
So he is base and color only.
Yep.
No autograph.
Now, do you think? Now, see, this is where I think cards 60 and 61 might pop into place. I think they could be possible surprise announcements of some exclusives or some signings, and that 61 and 60 might actually exist, because I don't see why they would keep a Donald Foyle. If it was a big name at the end, I'd get it. But the reason I think there's two mystery cards coming is because otherwise you just cut it at Jeff Hornacek and end it. There's no need to do that.
I don't know. I think, given that it releases, you said it releases today for Montgomery Club, correct?
It said everything that I can see right here says the pre-sale for Montgomery Club is today, April 26th. The public sales to be announced. That's normally the next day. So it could be the release of this episode, or maybe later this week.
I think they probably would, if there was something going on with that, I think they probably would have announced that that was there. What most likely happened was they printed 60 and 61 with two players, and something happened where all of a sudden they couldn't include it.
Yes.
So somebody at Topps was like, all right, we need to get that 60th card. I thought, well, maybe it was 60 was printed and then fell through. And then they found someone for 61 and that fell through after. And then, it's like, all right, so somewhere down the line, I'm actually surprised the Donald Foyle card is not numbered like 685.
Right.
Because he should have been that far down the list as you're going through.
Well, what do you think about
NBA players?
I mean, we said there's Cole Anthony, there's the pro player. Well, there's one other player we haven't discussed, and that's that they've actually included a prospect in here. They've got one of the top high school prospects, Mikey Williams. He's in the set. So you're also getting the first cards of Mikey Williams, who's a massive prospect coming out of high school. If he could be drafted, he'd be one of the top picks in this coming up draft. So he's a massive player. He's going to be in the set as well. Is he the one that's, well, hold on. Is he the one that signed with OTE? That's Nasir Cunningham.
Thank you. That's who it was.
Yep. Mikey Williams is yet to decide if he's playing college or if he's going the OTE route. I'm reading it right now. But his name, and
has he ruled out? Well, hold on. Has he ruled out Ignite? Has he ruled out G League Ignite?
Yeah,
that goes back to the conversation. So if his choices right now are between college and OTE, like we were talking about last week, there might only be room for one program, between G League Ignite and OTE. Yeah. That might be the nail in the first nail in the coffin for Ignite.
Yeah. Now what's going to be yes, I completely agree, but it is going to be interesting because in a recent interview with him says that he plays for Vertical Academy right now, and it's the number one prospect in the nation. And he said he's always wanted to go to college. So it's going to be really interesting if he goes to college that he's going to have his first card, this is an NBA product, and it's going to be before he even gets to college. So it's an interesting inclusion.
It's done. Yeah. It's done. Him included in this product is done through an NIL.
Yes.
Agreement, but it's still weird, but it's not, I wouldn't, aside from Cole Anthony, none of these guys are active. So it's kind of like a retired NBA product.
Yes. Yep. You've got Cole Anthony, and then you've got prospect Mikey Williams. And then it's looking like a very, to me, it's just a lineup of everyone that I grew up watching as a kid. And I love it. I understand why some people don't, because they probably didn't grow up watching basketball, or they're a lot younger and they're just looking at this checklist, looking for LaMelo Ball and names that they've heard and big Lucas and things like this. And when they don't see that, they get disappointed. I look at this and I'm like, okay, this is freaking awesome. Here's what
I'll tell you. That Mikey Williams card is going to be hard as hell to pull because he does not have a base card.
Nope.
He is an autograph only card. And with one autograph per box, that's going to be, and 55 autographs. I mean, who knows how much they printed,
right?
But that is going to be one tough autograph to hit.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to watch the market on it.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, but everybody, Topps Chrome Basketball finally coming back. Well, with
finest.
Yes, Topps Chrome Finest. There is a finest release finally coming back, and basketball is pro basketball is officially back at Topps. But guys, we'll be right back. We got to go pay the bills.
All right, welcome back. And it's time for that segment that is taking the nation by storm. It is Movers and Shakers.
Hey, you nailed that one. I like it.
We're gonna roll out this time. Normally I start off Movers and Shakers and then we kind of finishes it off. But today we're gonna take it up a little bit and Drew is gonna go kick off. Who do you got for us this week?
All right, man. Well, first off, good job nailing that intro. But
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to go with somebody that I normally go with people that no one's heard of. Normally, it's somebody low under the radar, but I got to go with a superstar here, and his name's Jason Tatum. I don't get it.
Who?
Jason Tatum.
I'm sorry. Who? Never heard of the
guy. Exactly. That's how it feels in the hobby when you look at his stuff. I don't understand it. Similar to Donovan Mitchell, I don't know what these guys have to do. Jason Tatum is freaking amazing. I mean, the Celtics as a team are good. They put together an amazing game plan. Your boy Williams had a big key impact also in that sweep. But Jason Tatum is, to me, one of the more undervalued players in the entire league. I don't get it. He's obviously hyped big right now, but that hype's going to disappear. And his cards are going to drop back to the floor. They always do. And I never understand it. But I think this might be the time where it finally gets a little bit of a bump because how many times does this dude have to keep producing before he gets some hobby love? I don't get it.
He had a little bit back in like 1920, the 1920 season. He started to get some love. He was selling really well during the, all the lockdowns and the the peak. But he's come back down and his stuff is criminally cheap.
Yes. Even with the hype around sweeping the Nets, it's still cheap when you look at other players to me.
I want to know who in Brooklyn thought it was a good idea to trade James Harden for Ben Simmons.
I know.
That totally worked out for him. And if you look at the number of superstars that are either didn't make the playoffs or are currently out of the playoffs.
Yes.
That list is large.
Yep. And growing by the day. There's a youth movement coming on in the NBA right now, outside of some teams like Golden State, which still are getting contributions, massive ones from their youth. But you're seeing a lot of these teams make some major moves and prove they're highly competitive. But Jason Tatum's my pick this week because he just, I don't know what else he has to do, but I think he's finally, if they can take one more series and keep going and he can keep this up, I think that there's a major play for Jason Tatum to possibly finally get the recognition I would think he would get. He's a Celtic. It's not a small freaking market. He's got a collector base. I never understood it. I guess maybe Celtics fans don't believe in him or Celtics collectors don't, but like you said, criminally low to me. So Jason Tatum is my guy this week.
That's good. And I think he's, if he continues this up, I think we're looking at a Boston versus Golden State NBA Finals. And if he continues the level of play, I think he is very much making a case for himself for Finals MVP.
Absolutely.
I had a conversation Friday night while I was at the game with my buddy Jasper, who was fortunate enough to come with us because we had some extra tickets. Yeah. And the conversation was about Steph Curry, finally potentially winning that Finals MVP that has been so elusive for him. And frankly, I don't think I think if Jordan Poole continues the way that he has been playing and puts up those numbers, I think Steph Curry's, even if they win, he's going to miss out on another Finals MVP. So I think it's going to wind up going to Jordan Poole. But Jordan Poole is not my mover and shaker this week.
So who's your mover and shaker?
No, I'm going somebody. Have you ever heard of a man named Pablo Lopez?
I have, but I'm guessing a lot of our listeners haven't. And I like
No, Pablo Lopez, pitcher for the Miami Marlins of all teams.
Yeah, for now.
That absolutely will change. But again, small sample size.
Yes.
He is currently 2-0 and is leading the league with a 0.52 ERA.
Wow.
He has given up one earned run the entire season so far in 3 starts, only 10 hits, and he's walked 3 versus 17 strikeouts. So Pablo Lopez is absolutely got to watch. Nobody ever, I don't think anybody's ever heard of the guy before, mainly because he's with Miami. Plus he's a pitcher. So, pitchers don't get a lot of love within the hobby, but he has been in the league since the 2018 season, been with the Marlins the entire time. And so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This was to be season number 5. Chances are he will not be with Miami next year.
No.
Because I think this is probably the last season of his rookie contract. But I don't know what he's gone out there. But anytime you can get a guy with a sub-1 ERA, and there's two guys in the league right now that are sitting there. Logan Gilbert is sitting at a 0.54 with the Mariners, and then you got to go up, and it goes from there. It goes to a name that everybody knows. That's Madison Baumgartner.
Yeah,
he's got a 1. But yeah, Pablo Lopez is my guy this week.
I like
it's different. It's unique. Maybe he's got some stuff out there. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe there's some first Bowman autos out there. He was an international signing. 26. So he came into the league at 21. Really don't have that much information on him.
Yeah, he's in 2019 Topps Chrome. He's got a rookie auto, but it does look like he's got a very, very limited amount of stuff. He's got some 2019 Prism, and then it looks like after that he doesn't have anything until they did put him in Mosaic Baseball this year. So maybe they knew something we didn't.
Who knows?
They did put him back into products starting this year, but he does have, looks like he was in Topps Chrome and then Prism Baseball. And those are the 2 products he's in. So not a lot of stuff out there that's going to increase the value. And to tell you the truth, looking at his sales right now, he is still quite affordable. And I mean, if he's playing like this dude, like you said, small sample size, but it's a great start. You keep it up. I mean, with such limited stuff out there, it's a good buy for a pitcher, man, and a great move if you've got him.
And looking at sales, looks like there was a Blue Wave refractor auto out of 2019 Topps Chrome on April 24th, sold for $39. Base auto on the 23rd went for $15.
Yeah.
So there is some. Oh, here we go. A gold auto on the 22nd went for $85, which isn't bad for a pitcher.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And there was a gold wave auto BGS 9 that went for $126. So they're up there. I'm looking for another base. There's another base for $25 on the 22nd. Gold wave PSA 10 went for $225 also on the 22nd. So it's, for a pitcher, that's actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
And I got to start going through the boxes and see if I can find
I was about to say, if you've got 2019 Topps Chrome, go diving through those boxes, because this dude looks to be legit. And like you said, man, small sample size, but it's a pitcher with not a lot of stuff at all. On a Marlins team, he's going to, if he keeps any of this up, he's going to shine, because there's nothing else really there to look at.
Just going through the past week of sales, I don't think he's got a base card in 2019. I think he's auto only.
Yes, it is.
So that's it makes it a little bit easier to go through your boxes and take a look and see if you can find this guy.
I love it. I think that's a great pick. So guys, go take a look. Pablo Lopez, pull out those 2019 boxes with that beautiful design I love so much. God, I love looking at those 2019.
Yeah, that was a good year for that one.
Absolutely. Well, guys, before we wrap up the show today, Scott, we talked about HGA last week, and
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah, 2 weeks ago, talked about HGA and the movement and everything that was going on, Tyler leaving and all that stuff, and you actually did a little more digging and talked to some people at Anderson, I see.
And I did some digging. And the reason I did some digging is because something just seemed off.
Right.
And we, some of the things we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago, I did the same thing you did.
Yeah.
What are they buying HGA for? What are they, are they just in it for the technology? Are they going to sell off the technology? Are they going to shut the company? We don't know. Now, I will say, I wound up having a conversation with one of the owners.
Okay.
And it went a completely different direction than I thought it was going to, because I found it hard to reach somebody there. So I found a guy in their marketing department.
Okay.
And he had no idea. It's like, what? Oh, we bought something? What? Huh? I don't think we did that. He's like, but let me find out. Now, the company is very compartmentalized, which is fine. There's a lot of companies that operate like that. And the next thing he's like, shoot me an email. I'll, give me the questions you're trying to find out. I'll send it, to somebody who will know. Next thing you know, one of the owners is calling me, a couple hours later. And when I'm talking with him for half an hour, he did ask me to leave his name out of it. And that is, which is fine. Yeah. I'll respect that.
Of course.
But he answered pretty much every question that I had. The cool thing
what is going on?
Here's what's going on. It turns out that there's a couple of guys there that are straight up collectors.
Huh.
Subbing with PSA, and then got some, had some issues with, turnaround time and them holding stuff. And, the typical thing you hear. They wound up getting in touch with Tyler, and the next thing you know, they like the service that they got with HGA, and they wound up investing. And then obviously the stuff that went on with Tyler, he's like, yeah, it's time to get out. So he made the offer to him, and they're like, you know what, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. So speculation about them buying the company strictly to sell off the technology, that wasn't even a thought of theirs.
Wow.
And the part that I thought was hilarious was he actually brought that up to me, which also means that he listens to the show. Yeah. He listens to the show, which is really, which is really cool. No, and he actually told me that ahead of time. He's like, I love the show. He's like, I listen as well. So
greatly appreciated.
And you know what? I wasn't sure if it was one of those things that he was just saying just to,
right. Yeah.
Just to say, but no, he brought that up later in the conversation, and it's like, okay, you actually do listen to the show. Sweet.
Yeah.
Now they did, since then they did suspend submissions in order, and they made the announcement about this in order to catch up on the backlog that they have, and I think that was absolutely the right move.
Me too.
I think that was absolutely the right move when they bring it back eventually, and they didn't, he didn't give me a date or anything like that, but eventually what's going to come back first is the 60-day submission. Give them the longer period of time when they're ready to start bringing in more, and he's got this vision. He wants to improve the process. He wants to make sure that the people there are getting it right, making sure the quality is there, and, wants to build the company beyond the point that Tyler was able to build it to.
Wow.
So I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm really excited because the reality is, we know that the big four grading companies are out there. PSA, BGS, SGC, and, CSG. But if you leave it to strictly those four and you don't have any additional competition or anything like that, there's no incentive for those four to continue to better themselves.
Exactly.
You need those smaller guys that have the ability to innovate, to push the larger companies to be better.
Look at what I think HGA coming out with any type of software did with Collectors Universe. Now Collectors, they went and bought Genament. They went and bought that Genament technology to help improve and start computerizing some of their grading. So absolutely. You need that competition.
You have to have the competition. SGC's growth really pushed PSA, and they pushed BGS, to make improvements. And BGS just reopened for regular submissions, by the way, too. So that was good news. That's good to hear.
I'm just glad they're alive.
Exactly.
For a while.
But the smaller grading companies have the ability to, try new things. Yeah. Without, kind of messing everything up.
Right.
And when they're successful, now, it pushes the larger companies to put in similar processes or, innovate in order to be better. And I think the more that we have that, the healthier it is, not only just for the grading community, but for the hobby in general, because there's a portion of the hobby that needs grading. There's a portion of the hobby that needs raw.
Yeah.
And, as long as we have a healthy environment those two sides, the graded side and the raw side, they play off each other. And when you have a healthy grading community, you inevitably have a healthy raw community. The raw community can survive on its own, but you don't see the increases in value without the graded stuff pulling the raw stuff higher.
Yeah.
So when grading is healthy, raw, let me rephrase that. When grading thrives, the grading side thrives, the raw side thrives.
Right.
When the grading side falls and struggles, the raw side is going to struggle, to a point as well. So having a small company, so I'm really excited to see what, HGA is going to have coming up here.
Yeah, me too. That's a complete...
how quick they're able to get through the backlog and how quick they're able to bring people back.
Yes.
And, the right people. Anybody can hire, shipping and receiving.
Yes.
But there's two key areas that you're going to struggle to find people. Graders, you can't just pull somebody off the street and, spend a day and say, all right, here's what you're looking for here and, here and here, and, go out and expect them to be accurate. And the other thing is research. The people that label the cards. You've got to have people that label the cards, don't have to have the grading experience, but they've got to have the hobby experience to know what they're looking for, and what they're looking at to make sure that you have accurate labels.
Yes.
And that's a big thing with, grading in general, is you've got to have that accuracy as to, okay, well, this is what it is. That's the part where they're going to struggle to find people. Yeah. So I'm curious as to what they're going to do. I'm excited to see what they're going to do. Are they going to have to move? Because, they're kind of in like middle Tennessee and, they're in the middle of nowhere, and the talent pool is not large.
Right.
Well,
I will attest to that. I will definitely attest to that. They're actually not too far from me right now. That's interesting. And I'm hearing this for the first time right now. I purposefully wanted to wait to hear how your conversation went, because I wanted to react first instinct on this. And that's actually a really big surprise to me. I'm a lot more excited about it now than I was when I heard the news. I'll put it that way.
Well, I was getting ready, and I will tell you, I was getting ready to put together a piece about how the whole purchase was, wasn't real. It was just, some BS out there. Because that's, especially after talking to the guy in the marketing department, where he's like, oh, I don't know anything about that. And I'm like, all right, let's roll with this. And I held off, because again, journalism 101, there's times when you and I, put on our opinion hats, and there's times when we put on our journalism hats.
Exactly.
And, this is one of those times where you put on the journalism hat and you've got to do things by the book.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that you get all the facts, talk to the people that you actually need to talk to before you go out and report on something. And this is one of those things. It's like, all right, we could have gone, and done another piece, an update, and things like that. We could have done a lot of things with this, and, but we waited because we're being responsible.
Yes.
And,
I hope some people are listening.
Yeah. And frankly, if I never heard back from the new owner, we probably would not have done this piece, but I'm glad we did, because it's a good relationship. And I offered him to, come on, the show and talk about, all the new stuff he's doing at HGA. They have a new management team that they put in place on site, and they are kind of rolling with it. So he may or may not take me up on that offer. It really depends on kind of how, things are going, but they, he may have one of the new management people that's on site there come on. He may not have anybody come on, but they're willing to do it, and they're willing to talk, and they're willing to be, kind of open and forthcoming about, some of the mistakes that have been made in the past. But also some of the, exciting things that are coming up in the future. It was definitely a worthwhile, half-hour conversation.
Right.
And, I was never a big fan of HGA.
No, me neither.
I've been open and, upfront about that. But that being said, I really like the way that, they're making changes over there. I like, the movement that they're, making within that company. And I'm excited to see what they can do. And, it's like now I'm kind of like rooting for them. I'm like, it's like, all right, cool. We got, we got the big underdog here, but I think they can make a huge impact. And I think it's going to be good for the hobby if they can get it right.
Well, that part right there, and, it circles back to what you were talking about, having that competition for the big three and everything. If they can make a stake in there, and I always said HGA, if run properly, could carve out an incredible niche product that would be an excellent little company. Wouldn't be any PSA BGS type massive monster, but I thought they had a chance to really catch a niche little audience in the hobby and do great with it. Now with all this and this pause and this restart, I'm interested to see what happens when they come back, what team they can put in place. Like you said, there's certain areas that are incredibly crucial to making this ever work. So we'll see if they've learned from some of those mistakes. I like everything that I've heard. Sounds pretty interesting to me. And like you said, when this news came out, I kind of, just laughed it off and was like, okay, they're over with. Now I'm kind of, like you said, excited to see what happens. I'm excited to see the relaunch. If customers come back, which customers are willing to give them a chance. If it's a total redesign in the shape of a lot of new interest from people that maybe have written them off before. But it is good to know that it's in the hands of some people that actually collect cards too. Yeah, that's a big thing for me.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me as well. And I was like that. That's part of the reason I was excited when Nat bought Collectors, PSA, because you're keeping that company in the hands of a collector.
Yes.
The guy who owns SGC is a huge collector as well. The BGS guys, we know that there's some collecting going on, behind the scenes there. So we know that the big companies are in the hands of people who understand the hobby, and we like to keep it that way. This wasn't strictly a corporate, investment type thing. This was a passion type purchase. So I think that bodes well, for their future. And it's just a matter of, can they make the right decisions, and can they, put the right people in place in order to grow the company and make it successful.
Nice. Well, I'm really glad you were able to have that conversation so we could get a little more clarity on that, because I know I and a lot of others were interested. And guys, the offer is always open. You're more than welcome to come on the show when the relaunch happens or whenever. Anybody you'd like to have on, always welcome to come on. But Scott, think that's a good place to wrap up this week's episode before my voice completely disappears too.
Maybe they need to move you to the third base coach. I think there's less yelling going on that side of the diamond.
Yeah, I think you might be right. But once again, guys, thank you so much to our awesome sponsors, Card Ladder, Card Crusade, Vanity Slabs, and Vintage Breaks. And as always, check out Hobby Hotline and Let Her Rip. Hobby Hotline every Tuesday and Saturday. I am on this Tuesday, but you will have already seen it if you watched it, so it doesn't really matter. And Let Her Rip will be on later this week as well. But thanks again to all of our awesome sponsors and to you guys for listening. And Scott, another awesome episode, brother.
Fun as always, Drew. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Till then, you guys know the deal. Keep ripping those packs, pulling those hits. We'll talk to you then. Peace.